Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Indie Film Cafe. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got my co-host right here. How you doing, Paul A Presenza?
I am moveless. How are you guys doing this fine evening?
Fantastic. And we've got John Ward here. How you doing, John?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, 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 good.
He's like the up and coming guy into our triumvirate of
he's,
movie reviewers here on Indie
That's
Film
right.
Cafe.
and I feel bad for him because he's the guy that secondly will be like, hey, do you want to come on? And you'll be like last minute, and you'll be like, sure. What
He's
about
up
you're like,
late.
oh God, I have to watch
He's
this.
building his rep one brick at a time, baby, and all of a sudden he's going to be up on the 155th floor on top of both of us.
Well, I mean, if you guys are Paul and John, then I'm Ringo. So that's that.
Oh, nice. I didn't even think about that. Even though my name's not spelled like a J-O-H, but it's cool. Like I can be John Lennon, you know.
See,
You can be
see,
Oh
Ringo. I'm
God.
down
see
with
why I
that.
fit that in. I love Ringo. So, but
Everybody loves Ringo. Well, not everybody, but there's
no,
Ringo lovers out
a
there.
friend of mine is a drummer and he hates Ringo. So,
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
Well,
but I
anything.
but I love Ringo. I think it's great. I love Ringo.
he's a star.
He's actually my second favorite Beatle. So,
Come on, you didn't catch that, did you? I said
oh,
he's a
he's a star.
star.
But
Come on.
Star.
That was funny.
Got it.
Jesus Christ, I'm losing out. You know what?
And
These jokes are just as bad as the movie
you
we just
missed it,
watched.
Mr. Ward, because we had him starring in one of the movies we reviewed, and that was Sextet.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Ringo
Ringo's
Starr
in
was in that.
Sextet. Oh,
Mhm.
I've never seen that. Yeah.
Well, now you need to
Every
watch it.
old dinosaur, washed up wannabe 70s musician was in that film.
Who
So,
was the lead in that?
oh God, Timothy Dalton, poor
No,
Timothy
no. What was the
Dalton.
girl? What was the lady's
Oh
name?
no.
Oh, the creature,
It
the
was like
creature
Mae
who
West.
resurrected herself. That was the shambling corpse of Mae West.
Yes, Mae
Oh
West.
geez. Okay, now I know what film you're talking about. Oh wow.
Yeah, it was. Paul likes to find these movies that have like all these big ass stars in them that have like cameos in them, like Wonton Tom, the dog who saved Hollywood and
Oh,
shit.
Wonton Tom was cute.
It's funny. But anyway, we're not here to talk about those movies. We're here to talk about Uncle Sam,
Oh
a
dear.
movie that might might be up there as like dreadful comedy of
It
it.
it had a lot of sort of B movie cameos because some of these folks were in there for like 10 seconds.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I picked this because hey, guess what? It is 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Yay.
So it'll be out on 4th of July.
Yay.
Where it's not actually 4th of July here right now, It's actually March.
Why do you ruin it? Why do you ruin it?
Because it's Pie Day. It's International Pie Day.
Yes.
3/15,
It's
baby.
also blowjob and steak day.
I thought it was American Pie Day because I put my dick in a pie.
Can you guys tell where our minds are just by those comments alone? I'm thinking about eating pie. Come on. Chocolate
And
pie,
mine's on
lemon pie.
blowjobs and
And mine's on having sex with a pie.
Yeah, so there you go. That's where all our minds are
There you
going.
go. That encapsulates the three of us
But it's
perfectly.
cherry pie, which is the traditional 4th of July pie. So at least I'm patriotic.
You're patriotic. Yes, well, there you go. And we'll talk
Well,
about this.
I covered my penis. I painted it like a flag, like red, white, and blue, and then I put it inside the hot cherry pie. So yes, I'm very patriotic. I'm very American.
That's a very American thing to
Crickets.
do.
All right. All righty. Well, we'll be
Moody
talking
has
about
lost
this
control
movie
of
in
his
a
podcast.
few seconds after we listen to some mood.
Mood music. He said penis.
And we are back. And
This is going to be a wild and woolly episode, I can tell.
Wild and Willy. All right.
I think we're just trying to avoid talking about the movie.
Probably. So this isn't your first time seeing it, John, I assume.
Second time.
Second time? This was actually my first.
Really?
Yes.
I'm surprised.
I know I've known of it, and I had seen it at the video store because it had those ventricular, um,
Sure.
or was it VHS covers where they kind of make it like hologramish and
Yeah,
stuff.
you turn it and yeah.
Yeah. But then, what is it? And Jack Frost was the same way, which this is very Jack Frosty. So,
Hmm.
um,
The
uh,
box for the Birdemic trilogy is that way. You turn it,
Oh,
and the eagles flap their wings.
well, that's all they do in the movies anyway.
probably spent just as much in the special effects as Nguyen did.
Maybe. Paul, was this your first time?
Well, here's the thing. I rented this movie back in the 90s and I tried to watch it and I couldn't get past the first scene because I thought it was so dumb. And after that, I just never went back to it. And
And then now you know why.
and now I remember why. Yeah. The first
Yeah, the
scene
first scene with
pissed me off.
all the military shit was just terrible. That was the first scene, right? I don't think I remember. Like I saw it.
Yeah, with William Smith. Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
in
with
there
like
for 10 seconds.
yeah, he's probably your favorite B movie actor. I feel
He's one
like
of them.
yeah, one of them. Like we've had
He's got that
movies.
voice.
Yeah, we've had movies where he's on there.
And I feel like he was almost cast just because of his voice, just because he had that raspy thing. So, oh, check the body tags and blah, 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 go do that.
Yeah,
Oh, probably. Well, I think he's a military guy too.
in real
Could very
life.
well be. But he was
Yeah.
only there for 15, 20 seconds at most.
Yeah. And
Oh yeah,
then,
one day they just paid him for a day.
God, not even a day, an hour.
yep. So there you go. So
But the thing that pissed me off about it is, okay, it's establishing the idea that there's this downed helicopter with our character in there. This is before he becomes who he is. And, typically this is done to sort of either foreshadow or explain the weird shit you're going to see later on. But it doesn't really do that. It explains sort of where he comes from and maybe why, but definitely not the how. And it doesn't do a very good job of explaining anything. First of all, that one guy figures out that it's quote unquote friendly fire really awfully fucking fast, like 30 seconds, which is not generally how it's done. Then William Smith's character doesn't seem to give two shits, which also in the military, trust me, is not how it's done. And then thirdly, dead motherfucker all of a sudden wakes up and starts killing people like it wasn't no thing at all, and then just goes back to being dead. And then makes a bad joke on top of it. And I'm like, okay, that tells me everything about this movie, what's going to happen. I'm going to have to suffer through stupid shit and an unexplained paranormal bullshit that is never going to tell me why or how this happens.
yeah, that's pretty much it. You kind of nailed it right there. That's
The first scene said it all, man.
that's the
I see it slightly differently. I think that one, it's got a good director and it's got a good writer on the film. Larry Cohen and
Hell yeah.
Just
a good director and a great writer.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Larry is a little bit better than William, like as far as those
Yeah.
that goes. Like
And
talent.
a great director in his own right.
Yeah, he was a
Yes,
great director
yeah.
in his own right.
They, like I said, I think that they have probably had William Smith for a day. They brought him out in the morning and then they shot his stuff at night as they prepared the helicopter and everything. That was probably all one day. And they just had to get all this information across. So as far as filmmaking goes, they're just trying to get across all that information in the first 2 minutes. But as a viewer goes, I could see where Paul is coming from.
And not to mention the fact this is not the first time these guys have worked together. They worked together. I'm pretty sure they both worked together on some of the Maniac Cop movies. Maybe
I think so. Yeah,
later, but yeah, they definitely had a thing going on.
Yeah, I mean they were friends. I mean, and like it's that circle. A lot of those guys worked in that circle. There was a lot of people who, William Lustig, from what I've understood, wanted Reservoir Dogs or one of the Quentin Tarantino movies back in the day and try to buy it, buy them from him. But Tarantino was like, nope, I love you, but I want to make this and I want to sell this to, Tony Scott, and this one went to Oliver Stone, so kind of made the better deals because
So yeah, and then you throw in, like I said, some of the cast. William Smith's in there, PJ Souls is in there, Robert Preston is in there. There's all kinds of folks in there, Isaac Hayes. So it kind of sets you up for this to be a much better movie than it turned out to be.
yeah, I totally agree. So I guess we really kind of did the backstory. We kind of know who
Well,
did what.
just to let you guys know, yeah, Larry Cohen did write Maniac Cop 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So they worked together. They were good, probably good friends and good. I don't know, how it all worked later,
You can tell. I mean, I was telling Moody off before we started the show. This movie to me felt like a little bit of Maniac Cop mixed up with a little bit of Jack Frost.
Oh, well, that's exactly. In fact, that's the what I was going to compare it to. I was thinking about that today. Is why did this film not turn into a franchise when they could turn the Maniac Cop movies into a franchise? Because it is kind of the same thing. The Maniac Cop was not a good cop. He was a sadistic cop, and then he dies and comes back and starts killing everybody. And this guy's the sadistic patriot army guy who,
right?
If you show your butt during the national anthem, you're going to die.
Those movies were a lot more effective. This one felt very, very half-baked. And I was telling Moody, somewhere along, I remember reading, someone said that this was an old script that Larry Cohen had written back in the mid-'80s and never liked and didn't have anything to do with it. So somewhere along the line, somebody said, well, we've got an old script. Maybe we can make something out of it. And there was just no saving it.
I mean, that's very possible because Phone Booth was Hitchcock was going to direct it, and then he died.
I've got an answer for you about the franchise thing. Shortly after the film was released on video in the United States, Apex Entertainment wanted to greenlight Uncle Sam 2, but the plans fell through. So Apex Entertainment. I don't know them, but
I know them quite well. Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Mostly a VHS company back in the day.
Yeah. So okay. Also,
they did a I'm sorry, they did a because I just thought of it. I think it's called like Time Barbarian with Mark Hamill.
Oh God.
Or Carrie Fisher is in it. One of the two is in that because I know he's in Time Runner.
Yeah, she's in Time Runner.
Yeah, so I think that, and I'm pretty sure Apex released it, but I think it's called something like Time Barbarian, and one of them is in it.
That sounds fantastic.
And then, so yeah, there's a lot of Maniac Cop with a little bit of Jack Frost in there, but it seems like it's got this fad, this formula that was going through the 80s and into the early to mid 90s with supernatural slashers, especially if they are involved with a holiday. And it's like someone said, nobody's used 4th of July. Let's try to shoehorn in something into 4th of July. You know what I mean? And this
but I don't think it would have been as bad if he just wasn't such a dick. That's and we've talked about this before that he's a dick at the beginning, is a dick in the middle, and he's a dick at the end. So maybe if they showed him before the war, and he's with his son and he's patriotic, but he's a good guy. The dog runs up to him and he pets the dog and he's got the white picket fence with the flag outside. And he's a good guy, but then he sees somebody maybe like stepping on the American flag and he's a little because he's so patriotic, but he's not like a total asshole. It's only when all this stuff like the friendly fire and all that stuff happens. So it's like, what has my country done to me? And then he comes back.
Right.
And then he starts off killing
as a child molester, for God's sakes. So how do you root for someone like that? But at the same time, there's really nobody else to really root for because everybody else is such a schlub.
Well, yeah, and yeah, according to like the sisters and stuff, he was like brutal and evil and yeah, and it's just like once again, I don't get why you would make somebody so hateful.
Right.
You could, yeah, maybe they should have just modeled it more after Maniac Cop in a way, but he just doesn't.
There's no one to identify with, nobody to root for, and that's problematic, especially when you've got a script that's supposed to be a horror comedy, but again, there's nothing really horrific about it, and there's nothing funny about it. So
I mean, so the only thing I could think of is like the kid, right? The little kid. who idolizes this guy, right? Like he idolizes his uncle. He thinks his uncle is this awesome guy because I don't know, he's sees so many great things from his uncle. And then when he comes to find out his uncle's a terrible fucking person. He should not have been, you know, he should not have been rooting for his uncle. He shouldn't have been like, and at the end, he doesn't like his uncle at all. In fact, my friend Vittorio came over to watch it. We watched it last night, and we were was it last night? No, it was 2 nights ago. We watched it 2 nights ago, and um he was all upset because they were burning GI Joes at the end, and he was just like the whole time going, "Oh my God, I would love those things. Don't do that."
Yeah. Well, that's another thing too with the kid, because let's face it, he was a jerky little twerp for most of the film, although he does finally have some growth when he finally decides to believe his mom and aunt. That was another problem. I got the two blonde women confused all the time.
I did too, and I didn't know that like she did not act like his mom.
No, I couldn't tell what was going on.
She did not act like a mom. She acted more like a sister, like an older sister too. So like I thought that was supposed to be like they were all siblings or something, but they weren't. They were, I think it was a mom and aunt, and it just came off weird. And the like maybe Larry Cohen wrote it as like sisters, and then they just didn't do that.
It just felt very vague and half baked. And same thing with the military stuff. Part of it felt like they were talking about Vietnam, and then part of it felt like they were talking about the Kuwait War. And
like
then part
Desert
of it,
Storm or
yeah, Desert Storm. And then part of it they were talking about the Korean War.
yeah.
And I was getting very confused, and it just felt like there was just a lot of stuff that the script wanted to address, but it didn't really manage to pull together a coherent narrative.
You know what? It might go back
What
to
I
your
mean?
idea before, Paul, that you told me. I don't know if you told me on the show, if you told me like earlier beforehand, but you were like that you think this was written way before, they actually, right? So like maybe
I think
he
so.
wrote it, Larry Cohen wrote it when it was about the Vietnam War and stuff like that, or somewhere else, Korean War, other times, and then all of a sudden, like it just got lost. Like nobody
And
corrected the script and
you
fixed it
you
up.
could have made that. The problem was there were a lot, and especially in the 70s and 80s, of returning Vietnam vets going nuts and killing
And
folks.
I
So
think I heard once that William Lustig did not want to do that ever.
yeah,
Like he
and
had done
I'm
that too much.
that was definitely done to death. So I understand them wanting to do something different, take it in another direction, and maybe kind of do sort of a supernatural thing about it. It's just I don't know. It just didn't feel like this got worked on nearly enough.
Well, I think that they needed to make a decision: is this a horror film or a comedy? Because when you look at something like Serial Mom, John Waters,
Yeah, that's a
and
comedy.
yeah, and the mom sees, like somebody throw a cigarette on the ground instead of in the trash, and then she goes and kills them. It's because it's John Waters. It's funny, because
Hmm.
that's the whole point, is that it's ridiculous. But in this, it's like they couldn't decide if it was a comedy or a horror movie. The kid annoyed the shit out of me. I didn't even
Oh
like
yeah.
how the kid looked. I mean, he looked emaciated, and his haircut was awful. And the kid really bugged me. I mean, most kid actors are horrible, and so he wasn't hideous, but the whole thing of just the brainwashing and like indoctrination and all that stuff into the military, and then him like smarting off to his teacher, when well, you'd say you're a coward type of thing, and it's like, okay, you little shit, what the fuck do you know?
Yeah. But
Well,
the thing about that very first scene, that's the problem. That's some of the main problem I have with it, is that it is set up so that you think it's going to be one of those wisecracking, villain monsters where he's saying a bad joke
they
after every
tried that
kill.
though.
They tried it, but
There was
it's
one
not
point where he
consistent.
says a joke. I think it was when he was in the helicopter or whatever, with the down helicopter in Kuwait. He says a joke, and that was it.
And
And I
that
was
was
like,
it.
oh, so it's going to be
Well, yeah,
this
yeah.
kind of
He says
movie.
friendly fire. Yeah, because he
Yeah,
hears them talking about the friendly fire. He then shoots the guy, and then which is
Breaks
weird
his neck
because
first.
if I'm in the helicopter, the guy's like here, but William Smith is like way back there. and he shoots the guy, which for some reason is the magic bullet that killed Kennedy,
Yeah.
and made a hard left and then killed William Smith.
Yeah, you're not going to shoot anybody accurately when you've got a body right in front of you, unless they're like 2 inches away.
Yeah.
It was just weird. I actually rewound it, and I'm like, no, if the guy is right, is right to the side of Uncle Sam, William Smith is like way over here. So it had to shoot him here and then continue that way. It's like they didn't figure out where it's like William Smith was there on a different day or something, and they're like, just have him stand out in the open, and, we'll just shoot that.
Or Uncle Sam is a hell of a pool player because he's figured out the angles. All he has to do is bounce the bullet off of the guy's bone somewhere, and it'll go off at the right angle.
Twing! Yeah,
I'm just like and pool.
Right.
But you're right. He says like, don't be afraid. It's only friendly fire, or whatever. And it's such a cringy scene. And then I'm like, okay, so this is the movie it's gonna be. And then they later don't even follow through with that because he doesn't even do those jokes the rest of the time.
Yeah, in fact, you don't really see him doing very much of anything other than skulking around with a mask on. A, because it's much cheaper, and then B, he doesn't really say very much of anything, which is probably good.
Yeah, it's probably
he shakes a lot of hands.
Yeah.
He does talk to that one kid that's disabled, or whatever, in the wheelchair, and talks to him and tells him he's there for him or something.
He does present the magic ability to be exactly where he needs to be, even though you just saw him up there like that sack race kid, the guy who does
who keeps pushing everybody. That I did think was kind of funny.
That was funny. That was a good one.
Because he's not even hopping; he's just running in the bag and just knocking everybody over.
But he falls like down a fucking hill and rolls like a half mile away from everybody. But lo and behold, there's Uncle Sam waiting for him. So somehow he had some kind of precognition and magical, traveling ability that he instantly pops himself there. And then what really gets me is that in that scene is, he's still in the fucking bag running or trying to move around. I'm like, dude, you're out of the race. You can get out of the bag now. It's perfectly legit. And just walk. You don't have to hop.
It's too tight around his neck. And I have to admit that I did laugh at the blind burn kid. Once I realized that he was blind and burned, I did laugh. So
John Ward's like, look at Brian Kipple kid. Ah!
Well, I really was like, oh wait, so he got like fucked up with fireworks. I'm like, dumbass. So I did laugh at him. So it's.
But what was that character's utility? Why was he there, other than to bring in PJ Souls? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Normally,
that was it to bring in PJ Souls and give her a character she has not played ever. Like, right, which I love. I love that. Like, I absolutely thought PJ stole her scenes because I'm like, this is PJ Souls. I've never seen her be this like annoying, like ass, bitchy fucking mother who, is, right. She does it so well that I'm just like, I love it. Like, I love seeing her. So I was okay with that.
The problem is the kid Barry. There's no reason for him to be there. All of the stuff that he does, his utility could have been done by the original kid, the first kid. No? So I was very perplexed as to why that one was even there in the first place.
And the other thing is, why did Sam talk to him? Like, why did Sam come to him and say, I'm going to destroy all these people? Because he didn't know.
Because I think that because it was at the 4th of July festival that the kid they did the botched fireworks. Mm-hmm. And that's what blinded him and burned him. So the kid's done nothing wrong. Instead, the 4th of July did him wrong. And so I think that's where Uncle Sam showed a little bit of compassion for him. And is like, dude, this wasn't your fault.
I would buy that, except that we see Uncle Sam killing people who never did nothing wrong to nobody. Like the one girl who was in the smoker, she goes off to do a joint and then she gets caught and then he.
Well, at the time that was illegal.
Yeah, but she doesn't actually smoke it. The cop takes it from her, and then
And
she
he's
goes
gonna smoke it
back.
later.
Yeah, she goes back, and then she finds the head there, and she screams, and he just fucking shoves her head into the smoker to kill her. She didn't do nothing wrong to nobody. She didn't
Yeah.
even know him.
And that's the
Maybe
thing,
she wasn't smoking, the meat correctly.
which I don't think, why is that a travesty on
Oh,
4th
because
of
he needed the
July?
meat cleaver.
Well,
He
no,
wanted the
but
he wanted the
He
meat
already
cleaver.
had it though. He took it.
you already had it. Because remember, she came back to the smoker and was like, where did
Oh,
that
where is
cleaver
it?
go?
Yeah.
You know?
So yeah,
So
there was no
I
reason to
agree.
kill her.
And I was watching that scene, I actually think of you, Paul, because this is what you hate about slashers sometimes, is people killing people with no real rules to it,
Yeah.
right? Or whatever. So like, say I'm just gonna kill this little girl because I can, when
I think it was the
really
pot. That was the pot.
Well,
what it
the
have to
thing
do
Why
with
is,
why
these
would they have
slasher
her smoke it? Why
these
why would she go to smoke it?
these slasher movies have a utility in that they are doing the things that we all wanted to do in some level or some form, which is revenge, getting revenge to people that we don't like, people who've done us wrong, the popular kids, the rich people, whoever it
the
is that we don't
bullies,
like,
yeah,
the
that kind of
bullies.
thing.
They do that. They fulfill that sort of wish fantasy for us. It's when they start killing randomly people who don't deserve it. That's a whole other fucking different kettle of fish.
Well, the thing that comes to my mind, and it's not even slasher, is Jurassic World, the first one, where the woman who is supposed to be watching the two kids, and one of the kids was in Insidious, that Jonathan and I found out. But at the very end, she has the worst death of anyone. And she didn't do anything wrong. She was just trying to help these little kids. She gets ripped in half and then is eaten. Nobody in the film gets ripped in half and eaten. It's like, what did this chick do? She did nothing. She was just doing her job, being a babysitter.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen that film, but I assume the dinosaur does that.
Yeah, it's like a pterodactyl or whatever, pterodactyl, and then there's two of them.
Doing
Yeah,
a pterodactyl there. I mean, it's
and one grabs her by the top of her hair, then the other one grabs the feet, and they pull her in half, and then a dinosaur from the water comes up, and they drop the bits inside its mouth.
That's wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that I can see, like, that doesn't bother me, because when it's human behavior and everything, and people are thinking, like, like with real, like, revenge thoughts and everything like that, that's one thing. But when it's like animals, animals are gonna act like animals. They're gonna rip things apart. They're gonna attack
sure.
random people. They're not gonna. It's not because just because the script tells them to. It's because there's
No,
chaos already.
but the script has to be written, and the person who wrote that script said, "Oh, I'm going to give her the most violent death in this entire
Well, have you ever seen
film for no reason."
You ever seen Boondock Saints?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The cat scene.
No, I saw it like 20 years ago when it originally came
There's a
out.
scene where they're all playing around, and one of them has a gun, and the gun goes off and shoots a cat.
Moody
Now,
hates that.
terrible. Like, I was like, don't like that. Like, whatever. But I listened to the commentary track, and Troy Duffy, the director, was saying how much his like roommate's cat was like being obnoxious to him one day, and he just decided bye bye kitty, like, on a, like, just in his in his movie, because he couldn't actually do that in real life. And I actually started thinking about that. That's why a lot of scripts, people do shit like, baby, I've always wanted to rip my babysitter in half. I'm gonna have it in a script where a babysitter gets ripped off in half, and shit. So I mean, that's where I would go with that. With Larry Cohen, to bring it back to Uncle Sam, is the fact that maybe the girl smoking the pot, he was thinking, people would, pot smokers are, the devil.
Yes, I think that's absolutely it. It was illegal at the time. She went to go smoke pot, and she wasn't supposed to be doing it. So
I think he just did it because he was a jerky character. It's outside of his realm of revenge. And I'm not even sure revenge is his motive. I don't really know exactly what his motive is, because if it's revenge, shouldn't he be going after the army?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, no, it's so he's the way I would have saw it originally was that I thought he was going to go after anyone who wasn't patriotic, who wasn't celebrating
Well, that's it. Yeah.
America,
That's
right?
exactly it.
In some way or another. So they're not. So maybe the girl cooking the food, if she's not doing her job right or something, and she's not giving people the right proper food. Okay, but
No, it's pot. That's why they had her smoke. That's she was going to smoke pot. That's the only reason
yeah, but
Except she
for it.
doesn't. He takes it from her before she
yeah,
gets
so she
a chance
doesn't
to light
even
it
smoke
up.
the pot. Like, why did she
No,
deserve it?
but she it's
The
guilt by
principle,
association. Yeah, I mean
principle of the
it's
thing.
yeah,
So,
she was going to do it. So
all right, yeah,
Boo.
I mean, I get it.
because everybody else, the guy on stage who was singing, the national anthem like Roseanne Barr and then farts, he gets killed. The
But
the
yeah,
guy's
but
not doing the sack raise
that was
correctly,
something
so
where
he
he
gets
was
killed.
being disrespectful to
And
the
even that
song.
doesn't make sense because, again, he was killed by his own troops. So you figured he'd have a grudge against America and against people who are patriotic.
That's true.
So it just, the whole thing feels
But they even
very
said
half-baked.
it was sort of an accident. Like it wasn't. He just got caught.
Well, it's that
Well,
friendly fire's
friendly
supposed to
fire
be.
is
The
always an
friendly
accident.
fire
Yeah.
thing. So like,
Well,
I mean, it was
technically always.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, that's yeah. But
yeah.
There were certain folks who got fragged in Vietnam who would say otherwise.
But
True.
I'm just saying, like it was not. They didn't do this to kill him. It was an accident. He was just caught once again, wrong place, wrong time. He sort of, got killed, or well, not killed, but he was almost killed. Then he goes and kills, the people, and then he dies. And now he comes back, and he's
Why
patriotic. He
and
wants to,
how?
you know,
How does he come back? Why? And what is he? The fuck is he? Is he a
he's a
vampire?
zombie.
I guess it's just people not being patriotic brings him
He's
back.
just like so much of a jerk that he's able to will himself back to life.
Well, that's why you needed like two sequels. You needed a prequel, and then you needed like the third, like an actual sequel. So then we could see him in the parade waving, and then when he sees somebody being, like being a jerk, he point at them and be like, hey, but not being a total dick, but just being, hey, you're being disrespectful. We needed that, and then him playing with the kid and
We
everything.
needed something, because even if it was something way in the beginning where you could have said, okay, we're tracking this helicopter down because they got some experimental drug that we don't really know exactly what happened, and that's why the quote unquote friendly fire happened, because they for some reason they just want to see what was going to happen, and this experimental drug ends up bringing him back to life later on in a way that nobody foretold. That at
Right.
least is something, no matter how implausible it is, but at least it's something that explains why that happens. You know
Or
what I mean?
you could even steal Return of the Living Dead thing, where it was like, he's in the morgue and some kind of experimental thing there just accidentally brings the person back to life. Something like that. I mean, it's that simple. Just do something. But they didn't do anything. It's just like he just
Okay,
rose
so
from the dead.
here's why you're not getting any of what you're asking for. The film was made for $2 million.
I mean, even 2 million though.
That's why you're not getting anything. They spent money on that helicopter to tow it out into the desert, and that's why they had William Smith for a day. That's why
Bo
you're not
Hopkins
getting
for probably a day.
Well,
yeah, he was probably a whole day.
my
Yeah.
argument against that, John Ward, is that the production was actually decent on this. It wasn't perfect, but it was actually decently produced, decently shot. The the camera work was fine. The sound was good. It was competently made. The big problem
Right.
I have with it is the free part, the writing. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Well, and we don't know what the original script was. I mean, if Cohen did write it back in the 70s, it was supposed to be about the Vietnam War. And we know that the guy's a good writer and that most of his films are political in some sort of way. I mean, even
I wish
It's
we could
Alive
ever
is
talk to him about
political.
it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't understand this stuff, that his stuff is very political.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so maybe this was, and they just went, you know what? I looked at the date. It's 1996. Let's just do a slasher movie. You know that, and there is, and like the political stuff is thrown out.
All right. So I'm gonna go through some of the cast real quick. That not all the cast, but like some of the names. So obviously we talked about William Smith, and William Smith was in Get Even, and ton
a
of
million movies in the 80s.
Red Dawn, and tons of movies.
He's a legend. Yeah.
He's a legend. He's a legend. And so understandably in the first beginning of the movie, he was the major. Then the Master Sergeant Uncle Sam is David Shark Fralick. That's his name. Shark, I guess, is his nickname. And he was a stuntman, so that's why he was there to play Uncle Sam.
Makes sense.
So he was a stuntman. Christopher Ogden was the boy Jody, and
they even name him after a girl.
I know. I think that he was supposed to be a girl because he act like a girl, very much. But
he was for a kid who's going to join the army. Wow.
Yeah.
He looked like he should go off and join Greenpeace.
And it's such a weird, trippy thing. It made me think of the Jody kid in Phantasm.
Oh yeah. So he also played young Steve-O in SLC Punk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So
he went to continue his career and actually
I like that movie.
Did more, did better
SLC
stuff.
Punk is great.
Yeah, it's a great film.
Then I guess Sally Baker, which I'm guessing is the mom. I don't know which one's Sally, which one was the other.
Yeah, because I think Louise was the other one.
Okay, so Sally was the mom. She was played by Leslie Neal, who was in like Gremlins 2, Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, a few different movies.
She was on Seinfeld, as I recall, and Star Trek.
Sadly, Uncle Sam was one of her last movies. She did one other movie as an anchor, and guess just didn't work out as far. Maybe she got a family. I don't know. I don't know her story, so I can't go around to say. Bo Hopkins, we all know and love, and he played the sergeant, and I actually really liked him in the movie. I kind of wish there was more of him in the movie. What do you guys think of?
Well, yeah, I mean, well, he's awesome. He's legend, of course, just like William Smith. Right. But Bo Hopkins actually had a real career. I mean, William Smith was more B movies, but he was like the thing back in the 70s. But that's even with his character, is you saw when he's back in his hotel room that he just wanted to fuck them off. That's his thing, the grieving widow. And he's like, that's why I'm here. So I would have liked it more if it was anti-military. And
yeah, the thing about it with Bo Hopkins, where we're catching him now towards the end of his career when, all of his best kind of days are behind him. Sadly, the same thing with PJ Souls. I love PJ Souls, but you look at her and I'm like, man, this was the hot teenager in Halloween and Rock and Roll High School. And now she's she's
Carrie,
the frumpy mom role in this in 1996. I'm like, man, I feel old.
I've always wondered about that with not so much with men, but with like women actresses. Like if they start off playing like a teenage girl,
right,
and then all of a sudden now they're playing the frumpy soccer mom, with like the 3 kids and they've gained weight and everything, and it's just like. I've always wondered how they handle that, like going from
not well
one extreme to the other.
And that's the thing is typically the roles for women, especially if they've started off based on their looks and that doesn't last, those roles end up shrinking over time, and that's all you've got left is the sort of frumpy older lady roles. You generally don't get to have a career as soon as you start to lose the thing that got you into it in the first place, unless you also happen to be an amazing actor, and that's a whole different thing. If you're Meryl Streep, you're still going to get roles, but not everyone is Meryl Streep.
Right.
But she still looks like Meryl Streep. You can go back and look at her in the 70s, I think it's like Woody Allen was like one of her first films, one of his. And she still looks like Meryl Streep.
Hey, I mean, look at it this way. Jamie Lee Curtis just won an Oscar. Jamie Lee Curtis still looks great. Jamie Lee Curtis is another one who started off as this gorgeous ingenue who's put in so much time and so much of her life over this. She never got recognized at all until finally the Academy came through for her. But how many years did she have to go through before she finally got some do,
Well,
you know?
well,
Yeah,
speaking of
I
Woody
agree. I
Allen,
agree.
the next actor is Matthew Flint, who played the deputy guy, the guy that steals the joint and is in love with the I guess the uh ex of Uncle Sam. But he was in Husbands and Wives,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Good
Good
movie.
movie.
and he was in Swimming with Sharks, and
Good
he was in
movie.
that TV show Sliders. So he's had a pretty
I've heard
good
it's good in
career
those.
for him, you know.
That's another thing. The women in this, man, were they cold? I mean, cold,
Well,
Yeah.
they were
like
both kind of
ice
screwed over by this
cold.
Uncle Sam
Yeah, they
guy.
were abused. There was definitely stuff going
There
on.
was more, and which
Then,
I give them
then
props
don't
for.
date. Don't date.
I
I
give
mean,
them props for kind of showing trauma and victims
Yeah,
and
yeah.
doing that in 1996, because that was something that wasn't as talked about, sort of, as like these women could have been in, like, they were scared. Even they even said, like, even in death, this guy scared them. You
Yeah,
know, even
I
knowing.
right.
totally bought that. Maybe they could have been a little bit more forthcoming about that sort of thing, at least to the sheriff guy. But I totally understand where they were coming from.
I
Well,
forget which of the guys said it, but I went ooh when he said it, which is like something. I'm gonna misquote the thing, but somebody goes something like, "Oh, it's really beautiful outside," and then the guy looks at one of the sisters and goes, "Just like you," and I went, and she even cringes too. So
Mm,
it's like, dude, you're doing too much. You're
yeah,
yeah.
stop. Just she's already, like all kind of weird with you touching her because she even says, "Don't touch me."
Hmm.
you
yeah,
know so
yeah.
it's like, stop, just let her do
Just
what she needs to do.
yeah. When it gets to be too much, like, you're like, like, I
See,
can
and
see
that's where
why.
the guy should have grabbed her, and then Uncle Sam could come up and cut his hand off and go, "You're too handsy."
Well, and then that's the other weird thing. If this guy has a history of physically and emotionally abusing these two women, when he comes back from the dead, don't you think that would be the number one priority for him? But he doesn't do that. He doesn't
Well,
even
no, but they
investigate
even
them.
say, like, that,
Ignores the fact that they're there.
they said, wouldn't you be going after, your girl or whatever, like, you're, like, at one point, but, like, that's after he's already killed, like, a whole bunch of people who have nothing to do with anything with him, and everything. So it its logic and stuff kind of confused
It's
me,
it's
but
very half baked. It really is.
all right.
Well,
So,
then,
ooh, okay,
well,
hold on. Oh, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say that maybe one of the sisters should have died. So at least he takes out one of them, maybe the wife,
Mm.
and then because she's the one, I think, who says, like, "Don't touch me," and
Well,
all that
that
type
would
of
have
stuff is.
that sort of upped the ante. It would have actually given it some horror, and it would have definitely given the kid a reason to all of a sudden change from worshiping this guy to, holy shit, this fucking guy sucks. I want to stop him. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, that would have worked,
Okay,
and
so you
it
said
would have added
Louise was
pathos.
the other one. Are you sure?
I really got the two confused. They looked so similar. They acted very similar. They're similar in age. They had the same haircuts, the same hair color. I really
Yeah.
could not tell them apart.
Well, the Louise Harper, which
That would be the wife,
that would be the wife.
because his last name was Harper.
Was his last name
So
Harper?
so Sally, her name is
Yeah.
Sally Baker.
Wait, hold on.
So the
Yeah,
mom
so
is Sally Baker, and then Louise Harper
okay,
is the
Louise
wife.
Harper was the okay. So Louise Harper was the younger one, or whatever, was
They
the
look the
I mean,
same age to me.
yeah. Um she was played by Anne Tremco,
Yeah.
and she was I was like, like, she looked familiar to me, but I couldn't tell what she was from and, like, how I knew her. And it was from Saved by the Bell, the new class. So totally get that. But she was in that. She was in Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
was in the Member of the Wedding, some TV movie, and the TV show The District. So
I kind
those
of
are.
wish
Ah,
that one of
so
them had been like a redhead or had long black hair or something to have set them apart. I really got the two confused all the time.
So Apex, it's the Time Guardian, and it stars Carrie Fisher. There we go.
Okay, good. I know that was bothering you.
Yeah.
So then we've got Isaac Hayes, which was awesome. And the whole time I even told John that the whole time I kept wanting to go, well, hello, children.
Chef.
Yeah. Is Chef there. But like I love seeing
Boys, come with me to the Scientology Center. Let's come with me.
Yes. But you can't say that because
Hello,
he'll come back
children.
from the dead and try to kill you. And then so we know Isaac Hayes from South Park, but he's also in Escape from New York. He's Reindeer Game, Shaft, and Robin Hood Men in Tights, which probably isn't something he wants to put on his thing, but it's fun. And then we've got Timothy Bottoms.
Yep.
Which was awesome to see him. But he was a weird teacher.
Yeah, Last Picture Show and
Up from the Depths, Roger Corman.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I was thinking Apocalypse Now.
That too.
The Elephant, not Elephant Man, but Elephant. The movie about the high school students. The Columbine kids one.
That was a good film.
He was so funny the other night. He misremembered something that you said. He's like, yeah, John Ward said he was never going to see the Elephant Man ever again. And I'm like, the Elephant Man? Why? That's such a great movie. And he was like, because he hates it. He thinks it's really weird and stupid. And I'm like, what? He's like, oh, wait, it's not the Elephant Man. It's No,
I didn't say that. I said it was the one of the crying baby one.
Yeah,
crying mutant
Eraserhead.
baby. Eraserhead.
Elephant Man, I saw as a kid. I saw it when it originally came out in the theater, and I bawled my eyes out.
I don't know why I got those two mixed up.
And yeah, that's the film that got David Lynch.
They're both David Lynch films, but I'm just saying, like
Mel Brooks.
I was very confused.
Oh yeah, no, Eraserhead got him Elephant Man because Mel Brooks produced Elephant Man.
Right.
But
right.
I think Eraserhead is beautifully shot and everything, but I just don't want to hear that friggin' mutant baby crying for 2 hours or however long it is. I couldn't handle it. I mean, I forced myself to finish that movie.
All right. So after that, we've got Tim Grimm, who played Ralph. And for the longest time, I didn't know his name, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" He's like I don't forget what he does. He does some kind of tax thing or something, and he was like the boyfriend of the mom. And the kid doesn't like him or whatever, and keeps calling him stupid. You're an idiot. Shut up. I'm like, good God. What?
Hit him.
Yeah.
Little bastard.
Yeah. Smack that little brat.
Yeah, he's being a little a-hole. It's like, dude, you're being just as big of a dick as your uncle is.
Yeah. Well, no, but I think that's the thing, because he was sort of
intentional.
Yeah, I think that was intentional, because you have to have some sort of arc where the character totally changes in some way, and he does, but it's sort of like all of a sudden, oh yeah, your uncle was a dick. Your uncle did all these things. No, he didn't. No, yeah, he did. Okay, I agree.
Yeah.
It was like that quick.
That's where the death of one of them would have cemented that.
Yeah. Ooh, that would have been good. I don't know why they didn't do it. I don't know why they didn't kill one of the parents. The things.
Well, it should have probably been the aunt, is what I'm thinking, because the wife, and then Uncle Sam kills his wife, the aunt, right in front of the kid,
or at least attacks them.
Yeah, they didn't even do that.
Well, you need loss. I mean, none of our main characters die. So
yeah, all the supporting characters and people I think Timothy Bottoms got it and stuff like that, but and
I don't want to get into the deaths being cheesy and bad, but they are cheesy and bad.
Well, I was sort of disappointed that you never see Bo Hopkins die. You just see that he's dead, and I was like, really? You saved his death for off screen? He's the military guy. There should have been more. There should have been a death by him.
He should have been saluted to death.
So did you notice that the Patriot, that Mel Gibson movie, ripped off the flagpole in the chest? Because it's 96 and Patriot is 2000.
Ooh,
totally ripped it off.
Mel Gibson was watching Uncle Sam before he did the Patriot. You got to watch all the
I wouldn't
patriotic
doubt
movies.
it. He's all a religious nut and everything, so I could see him being all patriotic and wanting to watch Uncle
The other
Sam.
thing I wanted to point out is the overuse of explosions. Like at one point, Isaac Hayes is like arguing with the Uncle Sam, and Uncle Sam throws him through the closet. For some reason, there's a bunch of little mini explosions going on. Like, what happened there? Did he hit the box of grenades that was the kid was stashing? And then the cannon scene, those cannons shoot cannonballs, which are fucking either hollow or they're full lead shot, but they're not explosives. They're certainly not those explosive tank rounds that went off and fire all over the place. That's not how it works at all.
Yeah.
At all.
I don't know. I've never shot a cannon into my house, so I can't say what would happen.
Cannonballs do not explode. Shells explode.
Okay.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
See,
and they're heavy too.
And they're heavy as hell.
Yeah, I wonder if that's in the goofs section. Yep, cannonballs like those being fired from the cannon by Jed do not explode. That's in the goofs. That's the first goof on here. Let alone explode a half dozen times as Leslie's home did.
Yeah.
Barry, who is supposed to be blind, takes the food given to him by his parents at the 4th of July rally without any verbal prompt, as if he can see it.
It's because his senses are enhanced, so he can smell the food. Yeah, so it's right there.
Yeah, I guess so. That's what people would say. Maybe.
Hey man, you can smell a weenie when it's coming in.
Continuity. Your monkey would love this. Where's your monkey? Do you have it? You have your monkey? All right, squeak it, because Uncle Sam's pants go from red and white to black and white just before the final showdown. And then when the dramatic red lit close-ups of the congressman's hands being strapped to the fireworks, that was actually pretty cool. That fireworks death by the congressman, that was probably why
that made sense for a lot of explosions.
That wasn't Timothy Bottoms, was it?
No, that was
Robert Foster.
Robert Foster.
Forster.
Forster. Robert Forster's character, which we forgot to mention him, but this was right before Jackie Brown, which this movie wasn't the thing that resurrected his career.
Talk about one extreme to the other.
Yeah. Quentin Tarantino watched this movie and goes, "Come here, Robert, we can do better."
I felt so bad. Here, let me help you out.
Yeah, let me help you out.
Tarantino was like the resurrection guy. I mean, he restarted Travolta's career. And the guy, God, what is his name? The guy who was supposed to do it before Tarantino backed out. He was huge in the 70s. I'm gonna have to look him up. Because now this is driving me nuts. But he was huge, and he became homeless and a drug addict, and he was compared to James Dean, and he wouldn't do it. So then Tarantino went to Travolta.
Oh, oh wow.
For Pulp Fiction.
For Pulp Fiction? I didn't know there was somebody else. I always thought it was always the way I've always heard it from Tarantino himself. It was always Travolta. He wrote it for Travolta.
No, there was
I don't know how true your thing is or not, but
maybe Travolta was supposed to play the congressman.
I know. I mean, Travolta was always going to play that part because Bruce Willis wanted John Travolta's part, and he said,
Christopher.
Not Christopher Reeves.
No, Christopher. I'm going to find it. You guys continue talking. I'm going to find it.
Don't want to kill this thing, but
we go off on our tangents sometimes.
I know.
I know the movie.
And silence.
It sucks getting old, folks. Trust me.
Christopher.
Is that the movie title or?
No, that's the guy's first name. Barry Williams actually has like a small part in when he's a kid. Peter Tork has a walk on. It was done in the 70s.
Let's see if I can find it before you find it, because
the government is run by children. The voting age is now down to like 12.
Citizen Kane.
No, 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 no.
You said
That's not
70s, all
funny.
right. And
Krista,
oh,
uh,
oh, the Brady Bunch guy?
yeah, yeah. Look under him.
Are you talking about Christopher Knight?
No,
Oh,
no, no. It's the guy who
no.
played Greg.
That's the guy who
Hold on.
played. Okay, that's Barry Williams who played Greg. And you said he was in a movie.
Who, by the
This,
way, I got to see live on stage singing. Wild in the Streets. He plays young Max Frost. Christopher Jones. There we go. Christopher Jones
I
is
don't
the
know that
original.
name.
I don't know that guy
If
either.
you've not seen Wild in the Streets, you need to see it. I have the soundtrack and I listen to it all the time. It is an awesome flick.
You said 70s. It's 1968, so that's what
Of
I
course
was
it
trying to look it up. So I should have looked up 60s, but I didn't see anything.
Well, I shouldn't have said 70s. I should have said 60. Yeah, like 69, 68, because Peter Tork has a cameo in it. So, and that would have been like 68.
And see, that's how he knows it, because it's a Monkees guy. Like
I know it because it was I heard it was a great film, and I looked it up, and I watched one of the music videos from it where he sings and Christopher Jones sings. So it's a great film. If you haven't seen it once, Christopher Jones.
We'll have to look that up at some point. But so anyway, go back to Uncle Sam, the movie we were talking about. And not
on target.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yesterday we didn't stay on target for our project, so for our last one, we completely went off the rails.
Well, that's because we're so amateur, according to some folks.
Yeah, we're not saying that. Yeah,
it's all right. Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Everybody's entitled.
I mean, how much is there to say about Uncle Sam? I mean, you either like it or you don't. It's directing is fine. Its writing is fine. The effects are good. Joe Castro was one of the people who did the special effects in it.
That's cool.
It had some okay murders.
Was this like one of Joe's early works? Like,
it might be, because it says like effects guy, then it lists one person, and then below it, there's like a bunch of people, and he's like the last guy.
I wonder if he's the one who came up with the idea of when Uncle Sam gets his pins, he pins it onto his flesh instead of onto his uniform. I didn't quite understand that, other than the fact that it's an icky idea.
Because he's sadistic, yeah.
Okay. But usually when you're sadistic to somebody else. If you're doing it to yourself, you're masochistic.
Yeah, that's true. Also, we forgot to mention my favorite scene in the whole movie is the fucking stilts guy.
Yes, the reason to bring tits into the movie.
Yes, the guy's peeping Tom is checking out,
stealing from Animal House, but that's okay.
Yeah, and then he falls down or whatever. And
did you stay through the credits?
Yeah, you see him actually fall, and for real.
Yeah, and like a crew member runs over. It might be the best part of the whole movie.
What?
Might be the best part of the whole movie.
Yeah. The end of the movie where he just falls down.
But we had to figure, we had to find out how, Uncle Sam got his Uncle Sam suit.
Right. He got his Uncle Sam suit. And I would have been, it wouldn't have been easy for him to stalk his prey, but how cool would it be to have a fucking serial killer with, on stilts?
I mean, he could have killed the Abraham Lincoln guy and walked around with Abraham Lincoln suit on with the fake beard and top hat and everything.
But then he's not Uncle Sam.
That's true.
There is a low budget slasher film that's Abraham Lincoln is. I think it's called President's Day.
Nice.
Yes. Directed by the guy who did the Call Girl of Cthulhu and bunch of other stuff. I love that. I love that guy. Sean C. Phillips is in it and whatnot. And that's
why you got to sound things?
Because he was popular today. Like, he was getting it. I like President's Day. I thought President's Day.
I've never seen it. I only know of it.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's fun. I think I got a copy of it beforehand because of my radio show. I was reviewing it or I was chatting with the director and stuff. So I really liked it. I think back in the day it wasn't even called President's Day. It was called something else. So they changed it to President's Day because
it's called Abe.
If this is all going to be centered around 4th of July, of course it's going to have to be Uncle
Uncle
Sam,
Sam.
because who else is it going to be? There's nobody really else, unless maybe George Washington. Maybe.
Well, see, I mean, with Thanksgiving, you have the turkey, like Thanksgiving, but you can also have pilgrims, killer Indians, or Native Americans.
I would love to see killer pilgrims or something, killing people with pumpkin pies and such.
What? Killer pilgrims? Yeah. Pilgrim's Day.
Yeah.
How about instead of George Washington, it's George Washington Carver?
Killing with peanuts?
Yeah, and he's going around, because he created, since he invented peanut butter and like a white person stole
or
that he goes around killing people.
Scott Key, serial killer.
Which one?
Francis Scott Key.
And he goes around killing people with a key?
There you go.
But isn't that's the guy who did the song, right? That they were saying, he didn't do anything. He's only done that one song.
They're sucked.
Right?
They're
I'm
racist
like,
song.
I don't know. Like, nobody likes it anymore, yeah.
It's funny how people don't make more on holidays. Like, there is only are there more 4th of July? Like slasher movies?
I don't think so. I think this is, as far as I know, it's the only one.
That fad, fortunately, has faded away.
I mean, the greatest
Which is sad.
one
I would like somebody to bring back holiday killer movies.
They could. The best 4th of July horror film I've seen is The Bay. And that's directed by Barry Levinson, Academy Award-winning Barry Levinson. It's a found footage film about these. I don't know if you've ever seen those pictures of fish, and they have like the little parasite inside,
right?
Like their mouth. And it's about those things, and they get into people.
Nice.
It's really good. But that's 4th of July. But why not do another 4th of July? Just because there's one? Like Memorial Day only has one.
But see, what else could the killer be? Just a person who likes 4th of July and doesn't like people not celebrating it, and it's not Uncle Sam? Like,
you could have, today was National Pie Day. You could have a pie killer running around killing people, 3.414 people with killing
toxic pies.
Yeah, he takes the pie and suffocates them, and then another person, he flips the metal pie plate and it cuts their head off.
And one has a toxic pie. He just puts the toxic pie in their head, and there's
toxic pie.
Yeah. I mean, you could do a lot of things with these kind of movies, but then you'd have to do what Paul likes, which is you'd have to kill the people who don't like pie. So anybody who doesn't like pie, they deserve to die. But anybody who loves pie can live.
There you go. There's the tagline. Don't like pie, deserve to die.
Oh, I like it. Now, what if one of the people are diabetic and they can't eat pie?
You can still have sugar-free pie.
But see, if they don't like pie because they can't eat it because they're diabetic, that's different.
I'm sure they love to have pie.
They want to have pie. They just can't have pie. That's
why the person can beg the killer.
Maybe the killer is diabetic. Maybe the killer is diabetic and he's going around killing everybody who doesn't like pie because he can't have it, and he's upset and jealous, and he's mad, so he's killing everybody.
And he sees everybody as pie, like giant pies.
In his head, like
they're just like crazy. A giant cherry pie, like a giant pecan pie.
Jesus. All right, we're going.
And he uses that scooper to like scoop out the pie.
Scoops out their brains.
Scoops out their brains like pie. All right. I think whenever we're on a show with you, John, we just start thinking of other ideas for movies, and then you go off and say, "I'm going to make that," and then
told you this was going to be a wild and woolly episode.
I thought so too. Like I don't know. It's like, okay, so John had told me before what he thought of this movie. I totally forgot, whether or not. And just like my brain just doesn't remember, unless it's something I feel like I have to remember. I just totally forgot. Then he was like, "So you remember?" And I go, "Uh-huh, sure, I remember." And then Paul was like, "This, this movie is terrible, but whatever." But so I was like, "I wonder what John's gonna think." I'm pretty sure he's gonna agree.
Well, I didn't turn it down, but I did turn down Eraserhead. So
you turned down Eraserhead.
I don't know that I would call this a terrible movie. I think it is, like I said, it is very well made. It's disappointing as hell because we know everybody involved in this film, from the writer, the director, everybody, the actors, everyone has done better things, has done quality stuff. So
I mean, this was a paycheck movie for the actors.
yeah,
This was a just like not put
but you
together
have to
movie.
but you have to somewhat. I mean, maybe they like the director. Maybe they say, hey, it's Larry Cohen, and some
right.
people are on board, just because of that.
Hell
Right.
yeah,
So
I would be.
it's.
I know you would be, Paul. You'd be like, "Oh my God,
I
Larry
mean,
Cohen, I'm down."
look at Alligator. Robert Forster was in that, and that was John Sayles. So who
That's a
wrote
fun
that?
movie.
So yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's difficult to say, and a lot of people like this. I know. I think when I put up the Blue Underground purchase that I did, you could see Uncle Sam. I think it was like Madeline Deering was just like, I love that movie, and other people are like, oh, Uncle
Madeline
Sam is
Deering loves
great.
every movie. No
Madeline
matter how
Deering,
bad a movie I show Madeline Deering, she'll be, this is great. I
there's
love it.
there's two people in this world that I love to death who just love everything everybody makes. Like I never hear them if they do say something like they support everybody, especially indie filmmakers. And that's wonderful. And that's Madeline Deering, who I love and we love and we love having on the show. Paul gets frustrated because he wants to say these things we can't because she loves them and she does and she talks about it so sweet. Then there's people like Matt Skinner who loves everything that gets put out, and I appreciate that. I love that. I just can't I can't if
Can't
I'm
be
gonna be
that.
honest,
I can't be that.
I can't think like this,
but
some of these
but
movies,
not everything is good.
and not
Not
everything is
No,
the
true.
best movie ever made, kind of
And
thing.
we know William Lustig can do better, much better
Right.
than this. We know Larry Cohen can do much better than this. So yeah, it was just not good. It was just not, and this happens. People, even professionals, they have a flop every now and again, and that's what this is. This is a flop.
Hey, me and Madeline Deering are recording our episode of The Dentist. We're reviewing The Dentist tomorrow, and I know she loves that movie, but that's for one of the ones where we talk about movies we
I
like, we love,
I don't. I don't know. I don't know why.
I haven't seen it yet, so
I own
I
the
can't say anything yet.
yeah, I own the double disc of that, the new one that came out from Vestron Video, and it's I've never seen parts 1 and 2. I still haven't seen part 2 yet, but I don't know why people love that movie so much. I don't. I
Corbin
watched it.
Burnson.
He's
Yeah.
fine. He's
I've got
okay.
Vampire Dentist. That's the one I want to show you, Mr. Moody.
Yeah, I know. And that's the one we're supposed to do with Madeline Deering too,
That's
because
right.
she loves that the what is it, the one we watched, the one that we
Marina Monster.
Marina Monster. Oh God, was that
Mr. Ward, you
was that a
have got to
30?
see
That was
Marina Monster.
if yeah, that was a 30. That was so bad.
So why do people like this film so much? Why do people like Uncle Sam so much? Why
I
is it
can't
kind of like a
imagine.
cult classic?
I don't know. I can't
It's
tell you.
it's bad as a horror film. It's bad as a comedy. It's pretty much bad in everything. I mean, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I mean, I think maybe because we brought up Jack Frost. Well, the killer in that's a dick at the beginning, is a dick in the middle, and he's a dick at the end. Maybe it's the actor, maybe it's the dialogue, maybe it's that we like Jack Frost, that we like the killer snowman. We
I
like
think if they
the
maybe
personality,
For
but we
all
don't
of
like
Jack
this.
Frost's faults, and there are faults in that film, it's a much better written film.
yeah,
I would say so. Well,
Which-
yeah, the guy who wrote it actually has written some big stuff now.
Yeah.
which is funny because I have a feeling, especially on my viewing of the Stinkometer, this movie will get a lower stink rating than Jack Frost, but it's a worse movie than Jack Frost.
It happens. It happens.
It's just it's because it's competently done,
Yeah.
and that's the problem.
Well, there
Yeah.
was love. I think that like the film, like the people who were making the film really enjoyed making Jack Frost.
And even
Yeah.
and I don't get that from this.
$2 million
Yeah.
bucks is still, I mean, back in the mid 90s, that's still a pretty half decent budget.
hmm
Not Hollywood level, but still.
Well, speaking of which, we're gonna go into our Stinkometer score right now because kind of already above our time, thing, but whatever. It's actually nice to do longer episodes sometimes, and we've been doing that a lot this season, actually.
I
which
hear
is
they
great.
like them longer anyway.
That's what she said.
That's what he said. Oh, wait,
That can be what he said too.
that's true.
So Paul, please explain to the viewers at home and listeners at home what the stinkometer is.
So our stinkometer is the way we rate our movies. We take 3 scores from our 3 viewers and we rate them on a 1 to 10, by which the lower the score, the better the film. The higher the score, the stinkier the film. Although we love our stinky movies, the higher score tends to mean that there are a lot more problems with it. And if you think that the movie's kind of meh in between, you might give it a midway score of 5 or 6. And if you're feeling subtle about your score, not really sure, you could give it a half step, a 5.5, 6.5, 7.5, something like that. And then we total it all up and we see what the score totals are and where it ranks with the movies of this particular season. And then we see where along the lines of the ladder to stinky heaven that it goes. A 30 is the one that's going to get you in the stinky heaven, but the rest is going to be put you on the ladder. So we'll see where this goes. I don't think this one makes it to stinky heaven, unfortunately.
No, not even. I don't think even close necessarily. John, do you want to start off? You want to give us yours?
No, I'm interested in what you guys are saying. So
okay, how about you, Paul? You go.
It is very competently made. Very disappointing. Acting was actually pretty decent. Some of the direction I thought was perfectly fine. There were some problems with regards, in my opinion, to some of the special effects. The main issue was the half-baked, not even half-baked script that was just bad, and the fact that I couldn't stand any of the characters and had nobody to identify with and just did not care about anyone in the film. But it was well made, so I'm going to give it a 7. I think a 7 is it's got enough stink to it, but it's nothing like an 8 or 9 or 10.
Yeah. So I was thinking, originally 6, right? So I was originally thinking 6, and I was like, that's where I'm going to be. But then the more we talked, about this movie and the problems that it did have with it and everything, and the fact that it just, it was just it was kind of a little bit above a blah movie, and everything. But I'm gonna give it a 7 as well because I feel like it should have been a lot better than it was, and it just was, it just fell short of because I think if they had made it more fun and made the killer have those quirky, Freddy Krueger type one-liners and stuff like that, I might have enjoyed it because of its tropes, but it just didn't have any of that, and I
That's the
just felt
magic
like
word.
it fell flat.
Didn't really have much fun.
And even my buddy Vittorio was like, "This wasn't a good movie," and I was like, and he's seen some stuff, and he's always sort of applauded indie film, for whatever, but he was just like, this just wasn't a good movie, and I was like, it really wasn't, was it? Like I wanted it to be, I like my Blue Underground Blu-ray because I can it's got the commentaries and different stuff, and I love hearing that.
Very curious to see.
So that I think will be the best part of the Blu-ray. I think I'll be listening to that more than I'll be actually watching the movie.
Maybe we should, for another episode, for maybe another 4th of July or something like that, is listen to the audio commentary and then do a video on that to see what they say. Because
that sounds like a Patreon only episode.
Yeah.
We can have. Yeah.
I would never, I don't really care about listening to the audio commentary unless there's a reason to, doing a review or something. Then I would do it.
All right. Well, what about you, John?
I was gonna go 5 because I thought it was just kind of meh, but I'm gonna go 6.
You know, 6.
Okay.
That's a fair one. I said, I was gonna go 6, but I think it was a little stinkier than 6 to me.
Yeah, because I agree with Paul. It's not a horrible movie, and it's competently made, and it does have a beginning, middle, and end, and most of the effects look pretty good, and there's not really horrible acting in it, even though the people are obnoxious. But it's just
that's just the way they were written.
Yeah.
That's not the way
Exactly.
They did a great job being obnoxiously.
Although I think the kid did bug you more than it bugged the rest of us.
Oh, that kid is, it just, I'm sorry, I judge people. I do. I judge people all the time. And I
So does
judge them for
Paul. Paul
for
judges
their
their
looks,
houses.
and I judge them for mostly their looks. Like, do I want, like the movie Smile, Kevin Bacon's daughter? It's just like, I don't want to watch 90 minutes of a girl who looks like she's about to throw her sandwich up, because she looks so anorexic that it was uncomfortable to watch. And I openly said that about the film. And so I judge people all the time. And for me, that kid was, if he was the best actor, wow. But he was so wimpy looking and so like,
And he had a girl named, so like I think literally he was probably written to be a girl and an actress, and they just either went with a boy and they just didn't change the name or something, and they didn't change the character at all, and stuff, and just left it like that. So that's my
a
thought.
tougher kid would have been nice, especially with wanting to be his, mimicking
Right, and being
his
into
uncle.
like the military. I'm gonna enlist in the military. No, you're not, kid.
Your arms are this thick. I mean, come on. I mean,
I'm glad that he went
wouldn't even
off.
hold a gun.
I'm glad he went off to do SLC Punk and some other things because, that I think maybe helped his, continue to help his career.
I guess, okay, so maybe I should rephrase it. I don't have anything against the actor himself, but I guess it's more of they chose him for this role that maybe
or
didn't
they
exactly
made him
match.
or they made him look the way they did too, like, and everything.
He didn't really look that different than the two women. Honestly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think they kind of made him. But also, I mean, if you think about it, he doesn't have like a man in his life. The man that was in his life died.
That's okay. Good point. So maybe that is it. So the mom's he's a little more effeminate.
There were two men. It's just that he doesn't like either one of them, and B, the ladies, because they've had all of this PTSD with the last dude, they won't let them get into their lives very much. So
yeah. Oh man, that one woman was very frigid. Like every time the guy came, like the mother, but every time the guy came to like try to kiss her or something, she like would walk away.
That's
or
the
whatever.
aunt. Yeah, that's the
Well, both I think did that. Because the one girl
I
did
think
it.
It was more the aunt was the one that was like really cool. Like he went to grab her and she just kind of moved away. And...
No, but she at least kissed him because. You're talking about the aunt was the one that was like with the cop, right? She at least gave him a kiss or whatever.
But
I'm correct.
The sister,
to kind of just do it.
Sister has been,
right.
Abused since she was 6 years old. So Jesus Christ, I mean, I'm surprised she has any positive reactions with men at all. I mean, that's just horrific. That's some deep-seated, trauma to have to work out. You know what I mean? That's terrible. So yeah, they could have gone a little bit more into that. But
right.
they didn't do that. I mean, I think if this had been more of a family horror drama sort of thing, this would have been more effective. It wouldn't have had as much comedy, but then there really wasn't any comedy to begin with. So get rid of the comedy. You know what I mean? And just kind of go for this as like more of a revenant, like an evil revenant coming back to finish off what he started with the sister and then the wife. You know what I mean? And then the kid thinks that he's something that he's not, and then learns the hard way. And you could have done something better.
I wonder if, because this is one of the last movies that William Lustig directed. I think this is the last film he ever actually directed, which makes me wonder if like this movie was so bad that and so well like didn't receive that well that he was just like, I'm done, which kind of sucks, honestly, because I feel like William's a much better director. This shouldn't have been his last. He's still around. He's
Blue Underground. He created Blue Underground. He's a film historian now. He does. He used to work with Cliff a lot at Scream Factory and Shout Factory, and then he started Blue Underground.
He's a perfect guy. If we could get him on to interview for Indie Film Cafe Spotlight.
Let's just like not let him hear this interview for this review first.
Well, we're not criticizing him. We're saying the film. It is. There's nothing wrong with the directing. It's okay. It's mostly sadly mostly the script. So
yeah.
Which
I mean, who knows? Maybe he was
Larry
just a director for hire.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
he might have just been paid to do it, and
Yeah, and
Those are
like I
some
said,
good questions.
I get the feeling Cohen himself knew that this was not his best work. It was probably just never finished, and it never went the way he would have liked it to have gone. It just feels very half baked,
Yeah, for sure.
you know.
All right, everybody. Well, that about wraps it up. John, thank you once again for an awesome episode.
Of course, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So I am trying to get my
monkey.
Yeah. Didn't need him too much, other than the few little gaffes. There, it was pretty clean movie. Competently made.
That's the problem with it. It was very well made, and should have been better. You know,
should have been better.
And that, I think, honestly, that goes to show you guys that even a movie can look good. You can see it, you can hear it, you can, it's got explosives and really cool death scenes, whatever. It can still fall short if the writing and the acting, or some of the stuff is just not as up to par. So acting was okay, but it wasn't, nobody was winning me over with the acting, or anything. Not even Uncle Sam himself, which I was just kind of bummed. He was just kind of a boring killer,
Was.
like anybody could be him, in a way, and he didn't have a personality. So bummer. But we did have cannonballs that made houses explode. So
yeah,
would it be better if he was just Uncle Sam, like the actual like what Paul has, but it's not a mask, like he's literally Uncle Sam from the poster, like from the
he comes out from the poster? That'd be cool. But you'd have to give it some kind of background.
See, that would have worked in the Vietnam era when you had all of these damn hippies, protesting against the war and being non-patriotic. He could have risen up as a spirit of revenge and gone after and started killing some of them. That could have been an interesting film.
Maybe that was the original film. Wasn't the script we got, but that was the, that would have been cool.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys once again. Thank you, Paul. I had a feeling. I almost had a feeling you would say no to this movie, but because this is our first movie that we're going to actually have on 4th of July, which I think is pretty cool. I was pretty sure you'd say yes.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it wasn't like a teen-oriented drama or horror movie, so I'm usually down for that.
Yeah, you hate teen slasher movies and stuff. Yeah. So there you go. There were teens, but they weren't the sole purpose of it. No. So anyway, well, thank you guys so much for joining us.
I'm sorry. I'll quickly say this: we are an idiot, by the way.
What?
We're idiots, by the way.
Well, we know that.
Yeah. Because we're saying like, well, what other slasher films are on the 4th of July? Is this must be it? There's a little franchise called I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah. I almost don't, even though those are, yes, every single one of them takes place on 4th of July. For some reason, I just still don't think about it, I've
only ever seen the first one and I didn't like it, so yeah.
You didn't like Sarah Michelle Gellar? Oh, she was so
I like Sarah Michelle Gellar, sure.
But Jennifer Love huge tits. I mean, Hewitt.
Those teen-oriented things like Scream and all that, they're not my cup of tea.
Oh man, I did love her. What are you waiting for? Let me push my breasts out.
She did it even twice. And please don't forget, because we did mention Sean C. Phillips, Ghost Shark takes place on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a franchise.
No,
cool.
but we did bring him up, so I figured I would. I just looked up.
What about evil fireworks that come back to life and kill people? They instead of going off,
come to life.
They come to life and they explode on people and kill them.
Like somebody throws them and they blow up and then they kind of just go.
Yeah, and so we kind of like instead of bad CGI shark, you have these CGI fireworks that they shoot up, but then they go to look for victims to explode.
I mean, you're coming up with ideas, but I ain't gonna make that. And then dude, somebody go make killer fireworks.
Fireworks. Nobody's done it.
Nobody's done it yet.
Fireworks of death.
I mean, they've done llamas. I mean, they might as well they've done llamas twice, Barn of the Blood Llama and, Llamageddon. So they might as well do fireworks at this rate. I mean, why not a killer microwave or a killer
Well, they
toaster?
already had Microwave Massacre.
But I don't think that wasn't a killer microwave, right?
Mm, it was just used as the tool to kill people.
Right. I'm saying like a microwave that comes to life and kills people.
Grows legs
Toaster that
and
comes to life and kills people.
chases people.
I'm like was Steve Carell in Anchorman. I'm just literally looking around at things and saying I like them and
I love lamp.
I love lamp. I love
I love lamp.
TV that kills people, fucking tea kettle
Couldn't
that
see
kills
a
people.
microwave. I could see a toaster. That I could see.
Well, they did in Ghostbusters too. They had a toaster that bopped around and was alive. It's kind of cool.
See? Precedence has already been set.
Yes.
All
All
right.
right.
Well, there we go. Okay.
All right, everybody. Then we're done. Okay. Thank you guys so much. Join us next Monday. This was on a Tuesday, so we really appreciate it. You guys being here. Until then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.